it's Shelby here. Welcome back to my channel. So this is going to be the start of hopefully a vlog that I'm wanting to try to do. It is Queer Romance Readathon week. Today is Monday, it's day one, and I really wanted to participate in this readathon, so I thought I would make a vlog for it. Although I don't really know how much good footage I'm gonna be getting for this week, besides me just talking about the books that I'm gonna be reading, which I mean, I feel like that's what I say every vlog that I end up doing. Because my daughter's birthday was last week, and if you can see her little foot kicking, she's in bed beside me watching Mickey Mouse. But her birthday was last week, so she's now 2. So, and then this weekend, yesterday, we had her birthday party. So last week was where all of the big events and things that I was doing was happening. And then this week I don't really have too many plans outside of reading. I have to work all week, and I don't think we'll be going outside too much, even when I am home with my kids, because I live in Southeast Missouri and it is supposed to be in the hundreds this week. So way too hot to be taking myself and my kiddos outside to play. So we will be staying inside. And like I said, I don't know really if I have any other plans. I don't really have a huge TBR for this, even though it is a week-long readathon. There's 2 or 3 books that I for sure want to read, but otherwise I'm just kind of winging it and just gonna read whatever I kind of feel like, especially since the group book fits so many prompts for the bingo board that I can just get a bingo by just only reading that one book. So I'm not super stressed. I'm not gonna put a ton of pressure on myself to read a ton of books. Like I said, I'm just gonna kind of see how it goes and just read kind of what I feel like. Now, the books that I do for sure want to read, I am wanting to try to read the group book, which is Drag Me Up by R.M. Virtues. This is a Hades and Persephone retelling that is a trans Persephone, and I think the Hades is demisexual, and then they're both non-white characters. So I've heard really good things about it. I'm really excited to read that. And like I said, you pretty much can just get a bingo with just reading that book. But I'm also wanting to read A Lady for a Duke by Alexis Hall, which I've actually started today. I have that on audiobook, so I started that while I was at work today. And this is a historical romance about a trans character, and she is meeting up with her best friend from before her transition, and it's kind of their romance. I don't remember how far since I'm listening to an audiobook and I do it at twice speed, it's about 7.5 hours long, and I think I'm about I have 4 hours left, so I'm at least a third of the way through, and so far this is okay. I'm not super wowed by it. It seems like it's just going to be more of a sweet romance. I have been a little bit bored with it, but I'm hoping now, because he just realized who she is. So I'm kind of hoping things maybe start to pick up a little bit more, but we'll see. But I was just really excited because I was it's a trans character in a historical romance, which I thought was super cool. So and then the other book that I for sure want to read this week, which it kind of will fit sort of, I want to read Give Me More by Sarah Kate, which comes out this Thursday. This is the 3rd book in her Salacious Players Club series, which I have been reading every single book in this series as it comes out because it's so good and everybody's loving it so far. So I need to read that when it comes out. And I know this one, I'm pretty sure features one or two characters, because it's going to end up being a throuple, I believe. So like two characters are somewhere on like the sexual like spectrum. I don't know if they're bisexual or demisexual or what their orientation is, but there is that. So I'm going to fit it in there somehow because I want to read it. But then, like I said, otherwise, I don't have too many plans. I have a few other queer audiobooks that I will probably end up doing this week while I'm at work, since that's probably going to be where primarily most of my reading is going to come from this week. There's like Olivia Waite has some historical romances that are sapphic that are an audiobook that I can listen to. And then there's a couple of sapphic romances that I have on Scribd, which is an audiobook subscription service that I do, that are by Black authors, I believe. So I kind of want to get to those as well. But yeah, we're just gonna kind of see how things go and hopefully I get some good stuff for you. I was gonna mention, so I did get a couple book boxes today, and I kind of thought about doing a video on them and unboxing, but then I was kind of like, I don't know, I'm just not like super like in the mood to film like an unboxing video and putting all of that together. And I already kind of have like my videos like scheduled out what I'm gonna be doing. But I was going to show you like the books that I got from these boxes. So I got the, they're two exclusive like boxes. They're not subscription boxes, although I think they do also have subscription boxes. These were just like one-time boxes that I got. So I got the Last Chapter book box. I got the Last Chapter book box. They had a Taboo box with like 5 or 6 different books and like authors in there, and I liked pretty much all of the authors, so I got that. So I'll show you the books that I got from that. Yes, so I have 4 books here in the Last Chapter book box, Taboo box, and I remember I got an email that I think 2 of their books like got misprinted, so they will be coming soon, which I'm kind of upset about because one of them is Sierra Simone, but I mean, I'll get it eventually. But Sierra Simone's like my favorite author, so I was pretty excited about that. So they had The Truth About Tomorrow by B. Celeste. I've read one B. Celeste book, and I can't remember if it was this one or if it was something else, and I was kind of meh on it, but there's this book. And then Medicine Man by Saffron A. Kent, which I have a copy of this, but I really like this cover, and I'm a really big fan of this book. I really love it. And then Ward by Margo Scott, which this is beautiful, this cover, but I read this not too long ago, and I honestly wasn't a fan of it. I was pretty disappointed by it, but this is really pretty. And then Eyes on Me by Sarah Kate, which is the newest book before the Give Me More, which comes out this week. This is the second book of the Salacious Player series. So this is pretty cool, and I really like that it's got the like phone like camcorder that she's doing, because she does that in the book. So pretty excited about that. And then the other book box that I got that was another like one-time exclusive kind of book box was the Cover to Cover book box. I believe they do like, I don't know if it's monthly or bi-monthly like boxes, and they tell you the authors like ahead of time, but they had this one-time June Pride box, which features just lots of books that have like LGBTQ like characters. So in that one we got Head Above Water by C.E. Ritchie, which I have not read this one, but I'm currently trying to finish up a C.E. Ritchie book, Don't You Dare, which I'm really enjoying. So, and I've heard really good things about this one. And then Abel by Katie Robert, which is another book that I haven't read, but I read a lot. Well, I'm not going to say most because Katie Robert has a huge backlist. But I've read a lot of Katie Robert books, and I have this, but I haven't read it. And I'm pretty sure this is a like throuple. This is the first book in a series that she was going to do, that she only wrote like 2 books in, and she had this like huge plan for this like 6 or 7 book series. But then I think she like got burned out on it, so it's kind of like on hold indefinitely right now. But yeah, so there's this. And then Without You by Marley Valentine. I know I read this one. I can't remember. I know, and I remember enjoying reading this one, but I don't remember exactly everything that happened in this. But I know it's a male romance. And then Wicked Lies Boys Tell by Kay Webster. This is a really cool cover too, which I haven't read this one, but I have read quite a lot of Kay Webster books. And then Counterbet by Harley Beck. And I haven't heard of this one. The only thing I do kind of wish, since this is a Pride, like LGBTQ box, all of these books are featuring like male type scenarios. So either they're gay male or they're in like a throuple, like bisexual kind of scenario. So I kind of wish they would have included a sapphic romance in here instead of only doing like male type books. Even though I'm pretty happy with all of these books, I just kind of think, I feel like that's missing from this box. So anyway, I don't know yet when I will update you all. I don't know if I'm going to do any updates for tomorrow or when. It just kind of depends on how far I get in A Lady for a Duke and when I start one of the other books that I want to do. And yeah, so whenever that is, I will update you all. Hey everyone, I'm back with another update. It is now Wednesday, so we're on day 3 of the readathon. I just got home from work and I had my hair down and looking all cute, but it's just way too dang hot outside, so I had to put my hair up. But I'm currently making dinner, which I think it's only gonna be me eating it because Luna decided that she was too hungry to wait for me to cook dinner, so she grabbed one of the I keep those like Uncrustable peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in my fridge for when I just like don't feel like making dinner, but she decided she wanted that. So anyway, so updates. I have not had the best luck so far with this readathon. I've only finished 1 book for this readathon. I did finish another book that I had started prior to this readathon, so I don't think it's fair to count it towards the readathon, so I'm not going to. But I've finished one and I've DNF'd one. I ended up DNFing Drag Me Up, which is actually the group book for this. I just could not get into this. It was driving me crazy, the writing of this. It is told in present tense, 3rd person, and I rarely read that in books, so whenever I have that, it just always throws me off, and I just get fixated on the tenses. And I feel like it also, I'm not a biggest fan of like 3rd person because I feel like it kind of detracts from the story, and I'm very much like a character reader, and I feel like I can't really like get to know the characters as well or like feel for the characters when they're written in 3rd person. That's not always the case, but that's just how it tends to work for me. And then like I said, the present tense, like it was just, I was getting all caught up in that. And then it's a Hades and Persephone retelling, but there's also all the other types of like Greek gods like in this story, and they're mentioned all over the place, and there's like border disputes. Like they kind of run different areas of this place. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like the Wicked Villain series by Katie Robert in that regard, but there was just too much of them talking about all that other stuff that was going on. It was just going over my head. And then I also just didn't really care for so far like the interactions between Hades and Persephone, like the dialogue that was happening, and then also the dialogue between Persephone and Aphrodite, because they're like best friends. It just, I just couldn't get into it, and I just decided I'm going to DNF it because I was like struggling, and I made it to like the 50-page mark, and it was like one of those things where I just, every time I flipped a page, I was looking at the percentage and like how much more I had to go, and just like wanting to be done with it. So I was like, this just, it's not for me, I'm quitting. Sorry, I have Willow in her little bouncer seat and she's starting to get upset. I think she might be getting hungry too. We're all hungry here. So then I just finished A Lady for a Duke by Alexis Hall, and I'm not 100% sure what I'm gonna rate this as. It's either gonna be like a 2 or a 3, because this also I had really high hopes for, and I was just really bored through the whole book. It has a great premise because it's like friends to lovers. Our main heroine is a trans character, and that isn't something like I liked, that it wasn't necessarily like a surprise like going into this, like when you read it. So I thought some of that was done really well, but it was just way too long. And then there was a lot of like subplots and minor characters that were much more of a thing than I think they should have been. And I feel like that detracted from the overall story, and it just left me really bored. I really did not care about them. I wanted to get to the romance between our two main characters because their part of the book was really good. I love their romance. They deal with a lot of heavy subject matter because he has PTSD from the war. And there's some like scenes where like he gets triggered, like there's some fireworks, and he just has like a big episode. Hi. So I feel like the author put in a lot of the other like subplots and like minor characters to try to lighten the story a little bit, but I feel like the author shouldn't have done that. I would have preferred it to just be more of a heavier book that dealt with the heavier subject matter. And because like that's where most of like my emotions like were tugged, and how I was like really feeling for our two main characters. So I just felt like all the rest of the stuff, the extra stuff, the fluff that was added into it was just completely unnecessary. There's also like a minor plot with like a kidnapping that I just like didn't care one bit about. So yeah, I'm still deciding on how I want to rate this because I was pretty disappointed by this. I think if a bunch of the stuff had been cut out of it, I would have liked this romance so much more. Because the two characters together were just, they were so perfect. And I loved them. It was just everything else in this book. Just, it was terrible. So, yeah. So since I DNF'd and I stopped that one, I'm not 100% sure what audiobook I'm going to pick up next. So I have several options. But I do think I'm going to start Vibe by Liza James. I've been kind of eyeing this and been wanting to start this for a while. And I don't know a ton about this, but I think it's a dark romance. And I know this is a female-female romance. I think it's maybe an erotic romance. And then this is also a new to me author. So it would tick off a lot of stuff on the bingo board. So I think I'm going to try that out and see how I like that. And then I probably won't decide until the morning what audiobook I want to try. But I think I'm in like a female mood because I don't really read a ton of sapphic romances. So I'm really wanting to use this as an opportunity to read more sapphic romances. So I may try either I have the audiobooks for some Olivia Waite books, and I know she like writes a lot of sapphic romances, or I think there's like an Adriana Herrera book. We'll see just what floats my fancy. And yeah, so I will update you when I have more interesting things to update you with. Hi everyone. I knew when I started to talk that would like kind of start waking her up, but I have my baby on my lap and she's like kind of starting to fall asleep, and then my older daughter Luna is in her bed napping. Finally, it took her a while to go down. It is now Saturday. I've missed a couple days updating, but there's just been a lot of things going on and I just haven't really had a good opportunity to just like stop and like update. Today, like earlier today, I didn't get a ton of footage because I was at my family's house, at my dad's house. They were doing like a Father's Day brunch for my dad and his brothers and my grandpa. So we did that this morning and got back home around noon, and Luna was like zonked out. But then of course once I actually lay her down, then she like perks right back up. So she woke up for a little bit, but now she's finally sleeping. I've read several books. I think I've actually gotten 3 more books done. Well, like 2 books and a novella. So I was going to update on those. So I read Mangoes and Mistletoe by Adriana Herrera. I ended up rating this 3 stars, mostly just because this was a novella, and I read it like 2 days ago, and I already don't really remember a ton of what happened, because like I listened to an audiobook and it was like only 2 hours long or something. It was really quick. It's a sapphic romance and about these 2 like Dominican women who get entered into this like baking competition for like the cooking channel, where there's like a professional pastry chef paired with a like home baker, so they end up paired together, and one of them is more of like a grumpy character and one is more of like a I guess a sunshine type character, and they don't get along because they don't agree with how they should be, what the types of like desserts and stuff they should make, and then they also are attracted to each other. So I give this 3 stars because I did enjoy it while I was reading it, but like I said, I don't remember a ton of what happened in it, and I only read it a couple days ago. Then so I did start Vibe by Liza James, but I only got like 20 pages in, and I'm just now like picking it back up today. I know it's a sapphic romance, and it seems like it's a darker romance, and it's about Aura and Ruby. And Aura, it seems like I'm getting this like sense that she was like in this like cult of some sort, and somehow she got out, but she's like triggered from her memories from it, and her boyfriend and friend want to go to a strip club, so they go there and they meet Ruby, who's a stripper, and Ruby and Aura like lock eyes, and they like immediately have like a connection to each other, and then they end up bringing Ruby home with them, and that's kind of like as far as I've gotten. I'm not really sure what exactly is going on. I'm getting a weird vibe, I guess, from her boyfriend and friend, and we don't really know too much about like Ruby's backstory either, so I'm very curious how this is gonna go. But yeah, so I had started it on Wednesday, I believe, and then put it down because I then read Give Me More by Sarah Kate, which released on Thursday, and I wanted to read this like as soon as it released because there's lots of people that I follow on Instagram and YouTubers that I follow that have read arcs of this, and I read the other 2 books in this series so far because this is part of the Salacious Players series or Players Club series. And everybody has just raved about it and absolutely loves it. So I wanted to pick it up right away. And then I kind of figured because this does have bisexual characters in it, so it still fits for the whole queer readathon. I loved this just as much as everybody else. I think it completely deserves the hype that it does. This one is about one of the other owners of the club. Shoot, now I can't remember his name. I'm really bad about remembering characters' names. Hunter. His name is Hunter. So it's about him, and he is married to Isabel. And Hunter's best friend, Drake, is a construction worker, and he, like, does renovations and different things and expansions for the club. And they are, like, always together. There's a bit in here where it talks about like after Isabel and Hunter got together, like any vacation they went on, they always brought Drake with them. The only time they didn't was like on their honeymoon, and that was because Drake had to be like, you need to go on a honeymoon by yourself. And then we find out that Drake, which I think we've kind of known that Drake is bisexual, but he has kind of wanted Hunter for a while. And Hunter has some feelings towards Drake as well, but he's not willing to admit that. So they are out touring and seeing these other like sex clubs and just seeing how other places do things to get some ideas for their own club. And then also maybe to kind of potentially partner with some other clubs. And in doing so, Hunter realizes that he gets turned on and he really wants to see Drake and Isabel have sex together. He just wants to watch them have sex together, and it just really turns him on. So he brings this up to them and they're like, oh my gosh, what are you talking about? Like, what if this changes things? And then things change, of course. And they end up becoming a throuple, and it's an MMF romance, and I absolutely loved it. I like this. If I'm going to read a throuple romance or a MMF, FFM, I want everybody in the triad to be equal and have equal like page time, equal feelings towards each other. And I really felt that in this book. There's some others that I've read that it's been very, very one-sided, and I just don't care for that. I don't think that's fair, and I don't think that makes for a potentially successful throuple, because you need to have lots and lots and lots of communication and be open with one another. So I like that Sarah Kate did that very well in this book. It was very steamy, which I also loved. There's a lot of more kinks in this one. And I liked, there was also a bit where Hunter has to kind of get past some of his like insecurities. And I liked that he had some really, really great character growth. That it wasn't just some sort of like outside force that like made him change. He kind of recognized, hey, I need to work through things and I need to change some of my ways of thinking. So he sets out to do what he can on his own to change that, which I absolutely love. I love when characters recognize something like that and they take the initiative to better themselves on their own, not just, oh, something else happened and this is how it's gonna make him change. So I really appreciate that. So I give this 5 stars. I loved this. I am absolutely loving this entire series, and I highly recommend the entire series if you haven't started any of these books. But yeah, like I said, this one worked perfectly for the Queer Romance Readathon week because bisexual characters, and it was just a good time. So yeah, so there was that one. And then I just finished today, I started the audiobook for Mechanics of Love by Mika Jane, something like that. I'll put the picture up of it. This is an audio. I didn't realize that this is the third book of the series, but I don't think it like hindered me in any way, just jumping in right in this one. And I think the other books of the series feature male-female characters, like a male-female romance, whereas this one is a sapphic romance, so that's why I wanted to pick this one up for the Queer Romance Readathon. And I really like this one too. This one is about Irene, and she is coming back to her hometown because she's just served divorce papers to her husband because he has been cheating on her basically their entire marriage, and she's finally like fed up and had enough because one of the women that her husband had cheated on, she turns up pregnant, and she's just like finally fed up and is wanting to move on. So she comes back to her hometown, and she has some trouble with her car, so she has to go to a mechanic, and she runs into Remy, who is our other heroine of the story. And Remy does not like Irene because Irene has been a bit of a bitch to Remy like their entire lives. But then you kind of find out that Irene actually has had a crush on Remy since they were like in high school, and just didn't really know how to express that, especially because her family is very posh and high class, where like appearances are everything, which is kind of why she married her husband in the first place, because he was the type of person that her mother wanted her to get married to, not necessarily that she wanted to get married to this guy. Anyway, so they run into each other, and this entire book is basically Irene coming into her own and wanting to do things for herself and not necessarily what her parents, specifically her mother, wants her to do, or the people that her parents want her to be with. And she's learning how to do things for herself. And one of those things being she wants to go after Remy since she's had a crush on Remy. So this is a slow burn. It takes them a little bit to warm up to each other, especially Remy. Remy's the kind of person that can definitely hold a grudge. So it takes a while for her to trust Irene and them to finally kind of start to form a relationship. I really enjoyed this. I gave this 4 stars. I really appreciated, so both of our heroines are over the age of 40, so I really enjoyed that because I haven't really read too many romances where both characters are of a tad older age. Like most romances that you read, our characters are they're usually around in their like 20s or 30s, unless you're reading like an age gap, and then one of our characters are usually like 18, 20s, and then the other character may end up being like in their 40s. So I liked that of it. Remy is also taking care of her father who has Parkinson's. So I like that the author kind of brought up that up about kind of the stress of taking care of a family member with a chronic illness. I don't know. I really enjoyed this. So I think I would like to pick up the other books of the series and maybe try to pick up some other books by this author as well, just to kind of try her out a little bit more, because this was surprisingly pretty good. But yeah. So I believe that's all the updates that I have. I am going to be continuing on with Vibe, and I will probably start another audiobook today. Although, since it's now the weekend, I don't know too much if I'll get into one too far. And I'm not really exactly sure what audiobook I will be picking up. And if I have anything else, like, interesting to film today, I will. But I think I may end up going to, like, a friend's house to, like, do some things. But I doubt I will remember to film any of it. So yeah. Hi everyone, here with another update. So it is Sunday. I haven't gotten too much more reading done, unfortunately. I've had a really busy weekend actually. So like yesterday on Saturday, I went to my dad's house and we did like a brunch like for Father's Day, even though we did on Saturday. And then after I got back home with my kids, then I had a friend text me and wanted to get like a group of friends together to like hang out and play like games and stuff. And they have two kids that are pretty similar in age to my daughters. So that was really fun, and they got to like play together and I got to like hang out with some friends. But I didn't get home last night until like almost 1, something like that. So really tired this morning. And then the clip that you'll see before this, we went outside today and I have like a little water table for my daughter that she loves playing with outside, so we did that. So yeah, I haven't gotten too much more read. I am about 50% through a Vibe and I'm really enjoying it. And it's really good so far. It's definitely a dark romance. And I'm getting, so like we have Ruby, who is a stripper, and she's really into Aura, I think. And Aura's just, she's the one that was like in a cult, but then there's stuff going on with like Ruby too. And I just have like weird vibes, and like Ruby has weird vibes about Aura's boyfriend and like best friend. Like I think they're secretly a part of the cult and maybe like wanting to try to bring her back. But the interactions between Ruby and Aura so far have just been like amazing. They're just like so much sexual tension between these two characters. And I mean, like at first Aura's kind of like put off by it because she's like, I've never been with a woman, I've never been attracted to a woman, I don't know what's going on, this is bad. Because then in her cult, like relations between like same-sex people were seen as like a sin, so it's hard for her to like kind of get past those. But then she's also like, but I've got a boyfriend. But they are just like so drawn to each other, and like I don't know, I'm just very intrigued by them. And especially Ruby, like she is very much a like dominant character, and almost to the point where I feel like she's definitely like feminine, but she has so many more like masculine type qualities. Like she's very like cocky when she's around Aura, and like I said, she's very dominant. But then like I said, this is a dark romance. There's a lot of trigger warnings I'm already finding going into this. Like Ruby has some trauma that she's dealing with, like both from her past and currently, with this person that is like abusing her and sexually assaulting her. So she's dealing with that, and she's trying to keep Aura safe and away from where she works because I don't know, they want to be together, but they're also trying, like I said, Ruby's trying to keep Aura safe, and I don't know, there's just a lot going on. But like I said, I'm really enjoying it so far. But since it's like the end of the weekend and I only have 1 day left, Monday is the last day of the readathon, I think I'm gonna try, I definitely will finish Vibe by the end of this readathon, but I don't know that I'll be able to finish any more books. I did briefly start an audiobook, and it was one of the Olivia Waite audiobooks. I think it was like the Mechanic's Guide to something or something, because I'm kind of I'm still in like a sapphic romance mood, so I thought I'd do that. And I have to work tomorrow, so I'm hoping, depending on how busy I am, that I might be able to get through most of that and potentially finish another one, but I'm not gonna hold out hopes. I think I'll probably just end up finishing Vibe, but I will try to update again tomorrow at the end of the readathon, and then just kind of go over all the books that I did get through and just kind of reflect on my time for this readathon. So hey everyone, I'm back with my final update for this vlog. It is Tuesday now, so the readathon is over. I didn't update yesterday because I ended up finishing Vibe like 9 o'clock at night while I was like in bed, and I just really didn't feel like getting out the camera and filming. So yeah, so I did finish Vibe. That would be the last book that I finished. I really enjoyed it. It was a very dark romance, but I was so into our two main characters of this, and I was really into like Ruby. She is very much a dominant female. She takes what she wants, and she's very aggressive sexually with Aura, and I was just so here for it. There were some things that I did end up having a little bit of issues with, namely that Aura was I just found her to be very annoying with how oblivious that she was with some of like the other stuff that was going on and like the secrets, and I also found that those things were pretty predictable. Like I could see like everything that happened. I kind of figured it was going to happen, so I was a little bit annoyed with that, but overall I really enjoyed this. It was just it like hooked you in, and it was very erotic and like intoxicating, and I just wanted to finish it as soon as possible. It took me a little bit with like work and kids and other obligations that I have. So I think I did pretty well for the Queer Romance Readathon. I am going to count that I finished 5 books. There was a male romance that I finished at the very beginning of the Queer Romance Readathon, but I had started that book well before the readathon started, so I'm not going to count that one. But of the books that I did read, it was, for the most part, they were okay. I think all of my ratings I'm ranking like between 3 and 4 stars. So nothing that I read was an absolute like wow, but they weren't terrible either, which is good, I guess. I believe I read 3 sapphic romances, which I'm pretty happy about because that is something that was kind of more my goal for this, and just in general for like June and reading like queer romances, as I was wanting to try to get more sapphic romances because that's not something I really have too much of that I've read. And then I read trans book and a MMF story. Oh no, my bad. The MMF story, Give Me More, that got 5 stars. What am I talking about? So that was like the best one, and then I think Vibe will be like the next best that I read for the readathon. Probably followed by like Mechanics of Love because I really enjoyed that one. So this is gonna be the end of this vlog. Let me know what you've been reading for June, if you joined in with the Queer Romance Readathon. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you on the next one. Bye guys.